I was talking to my daughter this morning about 1984, which she hasn't read because she's 11, and I don't think it's appropriate. Uh, but we were talking all about it and Big Brother, and this we were talking about spying and all that kind of stuff and crime think, and she was like, well, this guy didn't really, did he really think that this kind of thing would happen in the future? And I said, oh, it's the same guy who wrote Animal Farm, which she has read. And it blew her mind because, and I think maybe we just take it for granted how things went basically exactly as everyone predicted. Not everyone, but like we had these people like George Orwell, who, I didn't even agree with politically. I mean, he was a socialist, but we had these people predicting this authoritarian behavior, telling us that this is what your leaders are going to do. And we just kept voting for him. And like, here we are. There's no excuse. You can't say, I had no idea my mayor would go to French Laundry or Cabo but like, yes, you did. You knew this. You knew. You've been voting for this stuff. You've wanted leaders. You wanted to be sheep. You wanted to be on the farm. That's what you get. You're on the farm. Welcome to the farm. Wait, you're muted.
I think it's sort of it's not so much that they are, that it's prophecy about what's to come. I've started now, that's the way I used to think about some of these dystopian novels, but now I think about them as it's sort of just a cycle that humans are always going to repeat this behavior. That there's always
I don't think there's a difference really between
of
prophecy and recognizing where you are in a cycle and that this is going to happen again. So, yeah. I would
again and again and again.
Yeah. I mean, it plays out in different ways, right? But here in California, we've got we're like increasing lockdowns now, and the governor just issued some thing saying like, oh, we might have to go back into, some counties might have to go back into complete lockdown because reasons. And they're now counting cases, not deaths. Like they've just changed the language. They've changed the goals. It's moving goalposts. It's anything that gives them power. Sorry, I mean to interrupt you.
Well, it's like with Newsom in California on Small Business Appreciation Day. He had the gall to tweet about, hey, it's Small Business Appreciation Day. Show some support for your small businesses. And I'm like, dude, you're the guy who's killing small businesses in California. The nerve, the hypocrisy, the nerve of you to do that when you're killing them off. My friend in California who came to live with me earlier in the pandemic is probably going to come back to live with me again because she can't work. People can't work.
California's tough right now.
And I saw, how we predicted that Biden would probably do, and I think I even said, at least 3 weeks, maybe 3 months worth of some kind of authoritarian federal lockdown or mask mandate so they can point to this thing, this authoritarian thing for show, not caring how many lives it impacts, not caring about the damage, but doing this thing for show so that they can build the narrative they want of, look, Biden cured COVID. This showy thing he did, which actually had no effect other than to destroy lives. That thing cured COVID. They're going to do it regardless. So what did I see on Twitter yesterday? Biden says he will institute, and I was a little off. I said 3 weeks to 3 months. It said, he says 100 days, 100 day.
100 days.
Yeah, he outdid the 3 months, 100-day mask mandates federally.
Yeah. No, he has said that. This is just reminding me of one thing that I wanted to point out, because a lot of people are like, they wonder why people get away with this hypocrisy, and they think, oh, people are just stupid, or they don't notice it, or why don't they see this? I think you've got to let go of the idea that the leftists use words in a way to represent reality. That's not how words are used in leftist culture. Leftists use words as tools to elicit the behavior that they want. The words
Yes.
aren't intended. And by the way, there is a mix of postmodernism in this, absolutely. The words are not intended to be representative of facts regarding objective reality. The words are intended to elicit behavior, and if that's it's a very amoral stance. I mean, I would say immoral, but it's at the very least it's an amoral stance where I'm not my language. I'm not held to any standards whereby my language needs to correspond to reality. My language is it's an ends justify the means. Do the syllables coming out of my mouth make people behave in the way that propagates our leftist agenda? If the answer is yes, then those are the right syllables. If the answer is no, then they're the wrong syllables. And so there's not these people like this mayor, Steve Adler, I think to some extent they're genuinely confounded at the accusations of hypocrisy, because hypocrisy is not a thing that can happen when that's your mindset. Like, if words are just tools of manipulation and not to represent reality, hypocrisy is not a valid concept. It's not a concept. Of course, but I said the things and people behaved in the ways because I said the things. Who cares what I do? Yeah. I said the things. And so I think it's important. One thing that will help a lot of people understand the left when you get confused and frustrated is to divorce the words from representations of reality. And not that you should do that in reality, but recognize that's how they're operating. Though they're divorced. It's an ends just. It's the same as ends justify the means.
And that's anybody who engages in hypocrisy. I wrote something about that this morning. It's not just something you see on the social justice left. It's a human thing when people are not grounded and they're liars and they're hypocrites. If you're I'll just say this one thing. Opposing my old ideology, social justice ideology, is not simply about opposing the bad belief system, the bad ideas. It's not about saying the right words against the ideology. It's about your behavior. Right. And if your behavior doesn't match the words that you've copied and picked up and that you're putting out into the world, or that you're using as tools of manipulation in that way, that you're using without meaning, if your behavior doesn't match your words, if you bully people, if you threaten people, if you send mobs after people, if you lie, if you engage in cancel culture, we are not on the same side.
Right.
We are not on the same side. And what you're doing is you're showing people a window into what your actual beliefs are or your lack of beliefs. I think some of these people who operate in this place of hypocrisy, they don't even have beliefs.
A large percentage don't have beliefs.
No. They don't. They've never thought about what their beliefs are. And like you said, it's taking words and ideas and using those things to get a certain outcome, not because those words and ideas have meaning for them, but because I can use this as a tool in this way to get this thing.
Yes.
And when you do that, you are an architect of lies, because you are stripping. When your behavior doesn't match your words, you are actively stripping words of meaning. You're trying to take the meaning out of words.
It's actually also a form of gaslighting. When your behavior doesn't match your words, you're presenting a broken reality to the world and expecting them to believe it. It's a form of gaslighting. I mean, I hesitate to say this as an atheist who is rational, but I'm going to say this. Just think of it metaphorically. The left has discovered that magic is real. Magic is real. Incantations are real. Words can alter reality. You just have to know how to master language. Yeah. You use words to manipulate people. They're not reference to objects in reality. They are magical spells that get people to behave in the way you want. They're spells for manipulating humans. That's what words are to them. And once you realize that to them, all words are just magical manipulation, chants or magical spells or what's the cantrips, right? Once you realize that that's what they are,
yes,
you can let go of this confusion about how are they getting away with this and that and the other thing. It's like because they're not, words don't mean anything. They are just
to
cantrips.
them.
Yes. They're just cantrips.
And
to
that's
them.
why I think and words actually do mean something. And so
yes, they
people
should.
Who,
yeah.
They should. That's why hypocrites, people who live in a place of hypocrisy, and trust me, hypocrisy is a human thing. I think that's one of the great exercises of life, is to make sure that your behavior matches your words, and that you're not choosing to be in every choice. Are you being authentic or are you being hypocritical, right? Like evaluating that choice of everything you do. But the people who live in that place of lies and hypocrisy, words have meaning. They're stripping words of meaning. They are agents of chaos and destruction. And I don't say that lightly. I think it's an awful thing to do. And you are acting as a magician or trying to.
Right. Well, and actually it does work. The magic does work. Imagine this.
The magic works.
Like, I want magically to have food delivered to me and like money come to me. But I don't want to do the work. I don't want to go plow fields, and I don't want to put in the actual manual labor and the intellectual work to do it. Well, if I can speak the right words, I can get people to give me money, steal stuff from other people, give it to me to allocate. Like, I can make all this stuff happen. I can use all of you with my magic words to do all the work that I don't want to do.
To attack people on my behalf.
Exactly. Right. Maybe I want a bunch of people in Afghanistan dead. I can speak a bunch of magic words, and suddenly Lockheed Martin will be sending tanks over there, and the military will be there, and we'll be bombing people. And all I did was use my magic words. And they worked. Like, that's super powerful. And that's the power of language. And the left is, frankly, that's all the left has. Because the left is completely divorced from reality. All they have is language and a very good understanding of human psychology. But that's all they have. They don't have any. That's why you can't have a conversation about, like, well, what are the consequences of this policy in reality? Can't have that conversation, because that's not part of their universe. Reality is not part of their universe. Only
currently. Well,
I would say that's been true to some extent for a long time, and it's now metastasized to be like the default for most people. But yes, no one can live in that state completely. I mean, you have to deal with reality. Right. No one's completely that way. I'm painting a caricature, right? So
yeah.